Enquiries, welcome back to another video. If you remember, I uploaded a 2022 TBR video like at the start of the year with all the books that I was hoping to read in 2022. It was actually my first ever book video I posted as well. But now that 2022 is almost coming to an end, I thought it would be fun if I go back and react to my 2022 TBR video and tell you guys if I actually read the books on that list, because as we all know, I have a tendency to stray away from my TBR, so I'm interested to see how I did, because I can't even remember what books I had on this TBR. But I do want to mention I actually got this video idea from Janani over at This Story Ain't Over. I'll have her channel linked down below. She is an amazing booktuber. Definitely recommend checking her channel out if you haven't already. But she's done this video I think for the past 2 years, so I got this video idea from her, so I'm gonna have her channel linked down below. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and let's hop right into it. Okay, I'm about to start screen recording, so let's start. Hey guys, it's Mariam. Welcome to my first ever book video, which I am so excited about because I love talking about books and I love reading in general. So I thought I would share with you the books that I want to read in 2022. My reading goal for the new year is to read at least 30 books. Oh my god, I completely forgot that my reading goal that I set at the end of 2022 was to read 30 books in 2022, and I was like, this is gonna be a challenge, but I think I can do it. And guys, I've read about 100 books so far in 2022. Like, I well and truly went over my reading goal. Oh my gosh, that is so crazy to me. Like, if I went back and told myself in this video that I would read 100 books, I would probably be laughing, because I'd be like, no way, I could never do that. First book on my list is Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. Okay, so we're up to a great start. Let me get the book out. Where's the book? Okay, here is Six Crimson Cranes. We are going off at a great start because I actually did get to read this book in September and I really enjoyed it. I think I rated it like 4.5 stars. It was such a whimsical, fun read and I really enjoyed it. I will definitely be hoping to pick up the second book in the series because this one was fantastic. I am so glad that I read it. The next book on my list is The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas, which is a romance book, specifically an— oh my gosh. This book has been on my TBR for so long. I have book right here, Spanish Love Deception. I'm so embarrassed, guys. This was my most anticipated read at the time that I filmed that video. I remember that and I was so excited to do like a reading vlog on this one and film my reactions, and I never picked it up. I feel like a lot of that is due to the fact that I had so many negative reviews and I just was like not feeling it. I really want to read this one though. I will be adding this one to my 2023 TBR because yeah, I really do want to read this. I have picked out like the top 4 that I want to read, but I definitely want to get around to reading all of her books because I've heard so many good things. I think I was talking about Colleen Hoover. I'm very nervous for, but I'm very excited because a lot of people say that this will literally rip your heart out. Okay, so that was a 5-star prediction that I had for Ugly Love. I can confirm I did read Ugly Love and I actually filmed a reading vlog on this, so if you guys want to see my thought processes and reactions and stuff, definitely go check out that reading vlog. Ugly Love I actually did not cry to as I thought I was going to, obviously, when I put this on my TBR, but I did rate this one 4 stars, not quite a 5 stars. Not my favorite Colleen Hoover book, but it was still pretty good. Then we've got Heartbones, which I think is more of Colleen's cutesy romance novels compared to her heart-wrenching ones. That is true. I read Heartbones. Where is Heartbones? Heartbones is right here. This was actually my first book that I read in 2022. So we started off 2022 with a book that was actually on my TBR, which is really fun. I think I rated this one like a 4.5 stars. It was just such a good book to start the year off with, and it was like a summery romance and a little bit more lighter, but it had a really good plot twist. I think the only thing I didn't really like about this book was the ending. I feel like the ending could have been extended a little bit, but I did enjoy this book, and yeah, I think it's one of Coho's most underrated books. Regretting You by Colleen Hoover, which is a dual perspective between Morgan, who is the mum. I actually read Regretting You as well. This one was a dual POV between a mother and daughter. I think I rated this one 4 stars. For the most part, I did enjoy it because it was quite interesting, especially because they had a very complex situation, and it was cool because you kind of got 2 separate love stories, mum's love story and the daughter's love story. But it was also really frustrating to read at times because of how much miscommunication this book has. But overall, I did enjoy this. Would definitely recommend. The next Colleen Hoover book I actually don't own at the moment because I'm waiting for the new cover art to be available.
Is this All Your Perfects?
I purchased, and that is All Your Perfects.
It was.
This book, I haven't read All Your Perfects yet, but I do have a reason as to why I haven't read it. So I found out earlier this year that All Your Perfects is linked to the Hopeless series, which comprises of 3 books. So Hopeless, Losing Hope, and Finding Cinderella. So you read those 3 books first, and then you read All Your Perfects, and then you read the novella Finding Perfect. I think you can definitely still read All Your Perfects as a standalone, but I think it has a better reading experience if you read it as a series. So I want to do that, and I have not read the Hopeless series yet. So that's the reason why I haven't read All Your Perfects yet, but it is definitely on my list. I don't know if I'll get around to reading it in 2023, but I do want to read it at some time in the future. Colleen Hoover books that I want to read, but I only picked out 4 because other... Okay, so those were the Colleen Hoover books that I mentioned. That's so funny that I said, like, I literally put 4 Colleen Hoover books on my list, and I think I read about like 10 Coho books this month. Next is a book that everyone classifies as the coziest love story ever, and that is A Cuban Girl's Guide to Tea and Tomorrow by Laura Taylor Namey. Yes, I did read A Cuban Girl's Guide to Tea and Tomorrow. I don't know where the book is. My bookshelf is low-key a mess at the moment, so I don't have the book with me to show you, but I did read this one. I read this one for the Hello Spring Autumn Readathon, which I did do a reading vlog on, so I'll have that link down below too. But it was a very cozy book. I definitely understand why it's described as the coziest book ever. It is very character focused, not really much of a plot, but I feel like this book really dealt with grief really well. I think I rated it about either 3.5 or 4 stars. I can't remember. Next up, we've got The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin, which I picked up based on the fact that everyone says that if you love Folklore by Taylor Swift, you would love this book. And I freaking love that album, so I picked this up straight away. I can see where The Nature of Witches gets that Taylor Swift folklore feel, because I definitely got that vibe when I read The Nature of Witches. So yes, I did read this book in 2022, and I'm so glad I did because it was so good. It definitely captured my attention. I just really enjoyed the witchy aspect of it, and the fact that it's surrounding seasonal magic. I rated this one 4 stars. I definitely recommend this one. It is so good. I'm really excited to pick up more of this author's books. What's really cool is that the book is separated into 4 parts, and the 4 parts are the different seasons. So oh yeah, I completely forgot. The Nature of Witches actually was split up into 4 parts, which was summer, autumn, winter, and spring, and that was really cool. I think that was one of my favorite aspects of the book, is the fact that it's split up into different seasons. Like, that was really interesting. The next book is Before I Fall by Lauren Oliver. I watched the movie version, and the movie version was probably one of my favorite movies I've ever watched, to be honest. Yeah, Before I Fall is still one of my favorite movies. I feel like it was just such a hard-hitting movie, and it really tugged at my heartstrings, and it kind of just made me appreciate life a lot more. The book at the moment, it's kind of sitting in the neither, like have and haven't read, because I'm actually currently reading the book. I've only just started it like yesterday, so I'm only like a couple of pages in. This is the last book that I have in a hard copy form, and that...
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder if the books that I mentioned that I didn't have physical copies of, that if I actually own them at the moment.
is Sunkissed by Casey West. This is a book that I really want to read before summer ends. Can confirm I did read Sunkissed by Casey West, and I did actually end up reading this one during the summertime. It was the second book that I've read in 2022, and it had a very summery vibe. It's actually set at this like summer camp. It gave me camp rock vibes. There's like music, there's campfires, got a lot of character growth and character development. It's very character focused, but I really enjoyed this book, and I think I rated this one like 4 or 4.5 stars. Next book is Lucky in Love, which is another romance novel by Casey West. I do have that book, it's like all the way up my shelf and I can't be bothered getting it, but I can confirm I did read Lucky in Love. I rated this one like 3 stars. It was an okay read, but it was like really average. I thought the concept was really interesting though, because the main character actually wins the lottery, so that was cool. And she also works at the zoo, and it is a friends to lovers romance. It was cute, but it wasn't anything special, so I rated it 3 stars. You've Reached Sam by Dustin Teo. This is a heartbreaking romance novel, and I am very, very excited to get my tissues out for this one. Okay, so I do now own You've Reached Sam by Dustin Tao, and the cover of this one is absolutely stunning. I love it. However, I have not read this book yet. I just haven't been really in the mood to pick up a very sad read, so that's why I haven't read it, but I do plan to read it in the future. I just need to be in the specific mood to read this one. Next book has been trending all over BookTok and BookTube, and that is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by
This is Wigs.
Love that we get an ad.
by V.E. Schwab. I did read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. It reminded me a lot of the movie The Age of Adeline, which is also really coincidental because the book's main character is also named Adeline, so that was like really interesting. But I really enjoyed The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. It is definitely a bit of a slower read, but I feel like it is a slower read for a reason, because we're following a main character that has lived for 300 years, so obviously her life is going to be slow, and then no one ever remembers her. But then one day, 300 years later, lo and behold, when she's in a bookstore, someone actually remembers who she is. And I really enjoyed this story. Like, it was so good. I rated this one 4 stars, and I borrowed it from the library, and I ended up actually picking up my own physical copy because I do want to annotate it, because I remember it having such amazing quotes that I want to highlight and just annotate. So yes, I did read The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, and I'm so glad I did because it was so good. It was actually my first fantasy book as well of the year, and it was so great. Then I've got another enemies to lovers romance, and that is Shipped by Angie Hockman. I do own Shipped. I got this from Book Depository, and the cover is really, really pretty. I have not read this one yet though, because I've been saving this one for summer, and when I picked this book up, it was actually winter, so summer's just hit now in Australia, so I definitely do plan on reading this one eventually. Next is The Obsession by Jessie Q. Satanto. This follows a boy named Logan who is completely and utterly... So this book I don't own. It was on my 2022 TBR. I did not read it, but I also don't feel like I want to read it anymore. Which is really interesting actually. I don't really have a reason why. I don't know, I just don't want to read it. So I don't think I'll be adding this onto my TBRs anytime in the future, or anytime in the near future. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy by Holly Jackson, which is a YA crime thriller. Can confirm I have read A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. It is like very stuck in there, so I don't want to get it out, but I have Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Good Girl Bad Blood, and As Good as Dead. I read the entire series in October, absolutely loved it. The series as a whole, I rated 5 stars. It was just the perfect YA murder mystery. It was so fun, so fast paced, and I just loved how the writing style was. It was amazing. I am so happy that I read this one in 2022. A mystery thriller that I want to read is The Guest List by Lucy Foley. Yes, I actually did read The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I read this one in October. I was so hyped up to read this book, but oh my gosh, it kind of disappointed me. I rated this one, I think like 3 or 3.5 stars. I really liked the atmosphere that this book had, and it was really cool because it had so many different multiple POVs, and it's set in a secluded island, and there's a wedding happening, but someone gets murdered at the wedding, and you don't know who gets murdered, and you don't know who the murderer is, so you've got to read the book to kind of like fill in the gap. But the book as a whole, I wasn't really that invested in the book, and I think the main reason for that is because I was in a reading slump while reading this book, so that definitely contributed to the fact that I wasn't really like invested or connected to the story. But yeah, I rated this one 3 or 3.5 stars. I do probably want to give this book another go though when I'm not in a slump. Back to romance, I really want to read Last Chance Books by Kelsey Rodkey, which is kind of an enemies to lovers rivalry trope. So I have Last Chance Books. I got this for my birthday. I gifted it to myself. I have not read this book yet though. It just sounds so cute though, so I definitely do want to read it because it's got a bookstore setting. They both own competing bookstores and it's rivals to lovers. It just sounds like everything that I would want in a book. So I definitely need to get on this and read this book ASAP because it sounds freaking amazing. Next book is going to give me all the French romance feels, and that is Kisses and Croissants by Anne-Sophie Johannahu. I just realized in the video I put shipped by Angie Hockman for Kisses and Croissants, and I've only just realized that. I don't know if I realized it while editing. Clearly not, because I did not change it. But with this book, I did read this one, Kisses and Croissants. I really enjoyed it. It was just a very cute and fluffy read, but I did not like the plot twist at the end. The plot twist was so unnecessary. I was like, why did that need to happen? Like, it would have been a perfect 5-star read for me if the plot twist didn't happen. But I did rate this one 4 or 4.5 stars because I really loved the Paris setting. I loved that there was a little bit of a mystery aspect with our main character Mia's family, and it was really cool because Mia is a ballerina and we get to see how determined and passionate she is about ballet, and it was just really fun. So I really enjoyed this book. I think it was just such a really cute YA fluffy romance, but I just did not like the plot twist. Like, the plot twist, if you got rid of that, this would have been a really good read, like perfect read. But I did read this and I did enjoy it for the most part. Certainly not least, Beach Read by Emily Henry. I recently read People We Meet on Vacation by her and I really enjoyed that one, so I think I'll enjoy Beach Read as well. So basically we follow, I read Beach Read, I read it in January, and oh, that's so funny, I read it in January and the main character's named January. Yeah, I read this one, but it was my most disappointing read of 2022 because I found it so boring. It was so hard for me to get through the book. Like, it was an absolute drag for me to read the book, but I just kept pushing through because I was like, I need to finish this book. Like, I need to know if this is really worth the hype, because it was so hyped up on Book Talk and everyone is like, Beach Read is so much better than People We Meet on Vacation, and I'm like, no. People We Meet on Vacation is 100 times better than Beach Read. With that being said, I haven't read People We Meet on Vacation in like over a year, so I do need to pick that up again to see if I still like it. But Beach Read just didn't hit for me. Like, I don't know, I didn't enjoy it, and I didn't enjoy it to the point that I ended up reselling the book, so I don't even have it physically here to show you guys. Anyways, that was actually the end of my 2022 TBR video, so it was really interesting to actually see what books I initially added onto that TBR, especially because they were such anticipated reads at the time. Like, one of the books I literally don't even want to read anymore, and it was actually really interesting because I did read a lot of the books that were on my TBR, so I'm very proud of myself. Very disappointed in myself for not reading The Spanish Love Deception though, because I was so excited to read that book and I just never picked it up. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, be sure to give it a huge thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below. I post new videos every week. Also follow me on all my social medias. I'll have all of them linked down below, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!